I'll let you in on a secret. The original title of my book was What's So Amazing About Grace and Why Don't Christians Show More of It? The publisher finally talked me out of that title for two reasons. First, they said all of those words wouldn't fit on the book jacket. And then second, they said it wasn't very gracious. It was too in your face. To tell you the truth, though, I wrote this book because grace is not the first word that comes to mind when people think about Christians. That bothers me. Here we've got the most wonderful gift in the world. We're commissioned by God to spread the good news about it. But instead, the world sees us as the opposite, as ungracious. My book tells about a very unscientific survey that I conducted. While flying on airplanes, I would strike up a conversation with my seatmate. I'm a journalist, I'd say. I'm writing a book about evangelical Christians. Could you tell me the first words that came to your mind when I said evangelical Christians? Now, I don't recommend doing this survey. Many people would respond with an anti-pornography, anti-abortion, anti-homosexuality. Or they might mention a prominent spokesman for the religious right. Not once did anyone mention anything remotely resembling grace. Somehow, we are not communicating this grand message that God has entrusted to us. Gordon MacDonald once said that grace is the one thing the church has that you can't get anywhere else. The church can feed the hungry, so can the United Way. We can heal the sick, but so can hospitals and HMOs. We can build houses for the homeless, so can the U.S. government. There's only one thing that you can get only at church, and that's grace. For whatever reason, God has chosen the church to dispense this amazing message that God loves sinners. The rest of the world may view grace as one of those schmaltzy sentiments that you learn in church. It's not schmaltzy at all. As we go on this journey together, you will see that grace is tough, it's hard as nails, and it's powerful. Every so often we see grace break out on a global scale, and when we do, the world falls silent. Just in recent times, we've seen some remarkable demonstrations of grace. We live in a world of power, of threats and violence and war. Pick any era of history and you can read about war and conflicts of power. Yet in 1 year alone, 1989, 1/3 of the world was set free with barely a shot being fired. We saw grace lived out in Eastern Europe when communism toppled and the Berlin Wall came tumbling down, brought down in large part because of Christians who marched through the streets holding candles, not guns, and singing hymns. We've seen all these things on the global scale and also on the personal scale. As I said, after writing this book on grace, I heard from thousands of readers. I've got a file drawer at home full of those letters. They tell of parents who had drummed a child out of their family because of something she did 20 years ago, and they're now reaching out to her in love. They tell of gay neighbors whom everyone on the block has shunned and gossiped about, and now Christians on that block believe that they should show grace even to people they disagree with. They tell me of growing up in a racist environment like the one I grew up in the Deep South, and then feeling God's Spirit at work inside them, breaking down those walls, melting feelings of prejudice. I even heard from President Bill Clinton. He read my book after a White House staff member, a young Chinese-American Christian, gave it to him. I've had to learn a lot about grace, Mr. Clinton wrote, and we all know why. Never, ever underestimate the power of grace. It's a gift from God, and it holds within it a supernatural power. I've seen its power again and again, and I've felt it in my own life. I hope and pray that you will experience the power of grace in our next few weeks together. Grace is a gift. It's free of charge. It's on the house. You only have to do one thing to receive a gift. Open your hands. I pray that you will have open hands to receive this wonderful, amazing thing called grace.